Lewis Wall.
Tēnā koe te mangai o te whare. Inga mana, inga reo rangatira mā, ngā rangatira o te moananui a Kiwa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Talofa lava, malawele lei, kia orana, bula vinaka, and wanya, which is an Indigenous greeting to our whanaunga from Longman in Queensland. Greetings to all of our Pacific parliamentarian colleagues, no mai, haere mai. I'm proud to stand as the Member of Parliament for Manurewa in South Auckland. I want to acknowledge our tuakana Sua William Seal. In my electorate, 35% of the whānau that I represent are Pacific, 28% are Māori, and so my electorate is very much a Māori Pacific electorate. I really want to focus on the key theme of Parliament and the community, and I do that within the capacity as my role as co-chair with my colleague Jo Hayes of our Commonwealth Women Parliamentarian Group. I've now attended 3 of our Pacific Women Parliamentarian Partnership Forums, the last of which was held in Samoa in April of this year. And that is part of the Pacific Women Shaping Pacific Development Initiative, which comes directly out of the Gender Equality Declaration signed by the Pacific Island Forum in 2012. Our focus has been on women's economic empowerment, freedom from violence, but I think the most important one has been on developing women as leaders within our respective democracies. So I'd like to take the opportunity to acknowledge my colleagues Selina Napa, Te Tangi Matapo, Alofa Tuau, Dr. Puakena Borum, and Sherwood Tabon, who's a male, but he's been to our forum representing the Marshall Islands, and so it's been amazing for us to come together to focus on these initiatives. I also want to highlight that in addition to these initiatives in Samoa, we also focused on climate change, and my colleague Portal Williams has highlighted what climate change means in terms of the informal sector, the ability of our women in our villages to make the crafts, to take to market, to feed the whānau. We've also made strong stances on West Papua. So I want to tautoko the Pacific Island Forum, and in fact those countries who have led the way at the United Nations about what is happening in West Papua. We must do something about it, so it's a wonderful opportunity for us to discuss what we should be doing in the future about this particular issue. And obviously, from the Pacific Island Forum itself, there's only one woman-specific priority, which is about cervical cancer. And so we've had a concerted effort about how we can tautoko that particular issue. I really also would like to acknowledge in her absence our tuakana, I call her our matriarch of the Pacific, and that is the Honourable Whiamea Naomi Mataafa. And this year, particularly in Samoa, it was an opportunity for us as women to celebrate the temporary special measure that Samoa introduced. Having a goal, 10% of your parliamentarians being women, is a goal that I think every democracy in the Pacific should have. And so in addition to Samoa, I also want to acknowledge Bougainville, and I want to acknowledge Tonga. Tonga apparently is considering it. I actually would urge that you do it, and I think if you follow Samoa's lead, then it could provide a really good opportunity to ensure that you have women in your house. And in doing so, I want to acknowledge that you do have a woman in your parliament, that she got in 3 months ago through a by-election. And I also want to acknowledge Vanuatu, because I believe Vanuatu is also considering temporary special measures. But in highlighting Vanuatu, I also want to acknowledge that at a local government level, Vanuatu actually has been doing a lot of work. And in fact, they have an aspiration for 30 to 34% of their local government representatives being women. And in fact, in Port Vila and Luganville, they have 9 women councillors and they have 2 deputy mayors. So there's a lot of work happening. What I want to finish on is human rights and women's rights, and probably the only other human rights issue I want to take the opportunity to highlight is LGBTI rights are human rights. In too many of our countries, LGBTI people are still treated as criminals. And I think it's time that we face this issue as an issue of principle. Are LGBTI members of whānau? Yes. Are they members of ainga? Yes. Do they have whakapapa? Yes. We should stop calling them criminals because the Pālangi brought that into our countries. It's time that we address that issue. Kia ora.
Talofa lava malo le lai, pula vinaka, taloha ni talofa.
Carmel Sepuloni.